It's time for today's face-off on Fox Soul. Challengers Quan LX and Big Angry Adams ready to go blow by blow on those hot topics. Face-off on Fox Soul starts right now.
Squabble up, squabble up, squabble up. What? Squabble up, squabble up, squabble up.
No, 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 no! Too loud, too reckless, too ghetto. Mr. Lamar, do you really know how to play the game? Then tighten up!
Nobody ready for me. It been a day for me. Well, yeah.
Hey, I remember syrup sandwiches and caramel.
In this round, here's Quan LX.
Charles, that was Kendrick Lamar, legendary rapper out of Compton, California, performing at the Super Bowl of the Chiefs against the Eagles. And many didn't like the performance on the field with the football game, but the Eagles fans love it, of course. I didn't like the performance of the Chiefs. It was horrible. But let's talk about that performance by Kendrick Lamar. Many are upset with him today in this country, many whites in particular, and certain white talk show hosts and podcast members, saying that it was too many political subtle suggestions and hints and language in the performance. You saw Samuel L. Jackson playing the role of Uncle Sam in his American uniform, and when Kendrick came out on stage, you saw the American flag was made out of black bodies, and that was suggesting and saying to the world that America was built on the backs of black people. You also heard in that performance where he was saying that we have always entertained them. They want to be us, they want to rap like us, dance like us, but they not like us. And so he made some statements that were very thought-provoking in that performance. Many felt it was too conscious, but to be honest with you, that young brother is brilliant. He's highly intelligent, and I can appreciate that he has a love and genuine consciousness for the mindsets of his own brothers and sisters. It flew over the heads of many, but a lot of us understood exactly what he was saying to black people. In that performance, he was also saying to the powers that be, it is no longer time to be afraid, but to stand up to those who shape imagery in America and say to them, we don't give a damn how you portray us, this is who we are. Especially when you saw the young men sitting up under the light pole with their t-shirts on, symbolic of young men hanging out on the corner, that we have a right to do that without interference.
Well, I mean, you know, what I saw today on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, Twitter, or X, was quite the opposite. Instead, it was a great number of people echoing your sentiments that white people are racist, so they didn't like the performance. White people are this, white people are that. You're taking the position that Kendrick's message was, white folk, you want to be like us, but you aren't like us. Do you agree with that message that you believe he was projecting?
I agree that in the music industry and in the talent industry of entertainment, when it comes to music, then white people are not like black people. Though Elvis Presley tried as hard as he possibly could and stole many of his legendary hits from black people, including the Beach Boys, but they cannot be us and they're not like us.
So do you think, just in the context of the music industry or more generally, you think white people are inferior to black people? That's the message you're sending?
I don't believe that, but
that's what it sounds like.
But I believe when it comes to the music industry, we are the leaders of the music industry. Like when Beyonce made her country album, it was rejected by the majority of all white country fans. But remember,
it wasn't a very good country album.
But when you research country music was founded by black people.
I know. In
the
world of Quan L,
let's just be honest
in the world of Quan L, honesty means white people have contributed nothing culturally or inventions.
Of course you have.
Oh, really? What?
Of course you have.
Let's hear it. Let's hear it. What did we contribute?
White people contributed mayonnaise sandwiches.
Oh, there you
White
go.
people contributed grits without any butter, no sugar, no seasoning. White people contributed and just be honest, helping people, the man travel allegedly to the moon. White people contributed to us helping build the airplane in flight.
Okay.
We appreciate those things.
We helped y'all.
Huh?
The collective you, the collective me helped you.
No, in America you did because the original people of flight was not white folk in America.
What's crazy is that where you have, let's look at Europe, lots of white people living, right? And yet everyone wants to move there, but yet white people don't do anything good, right? And that's, of course, absurd.
Well, there's a reason why many immigrants from around the world, including Africa, are fighting to go to Europe.
Well, so why?
They should.
So why?
But they should fight to go to Europe.
Let's get back
After all, Europe undermined and robbed Africa of all its natural resources.
I get
robbed Africa of all of its gold, its diamonds, its oil, its bauxite, and all of its diamonds and aluminum.
Every white person
so why
on the
would
planet
not
of
immigrants
Europe
in
is
Africa want to go back to Europe when they stole everything from Africa?
And absolutely, there was none of that going on internally to Africa, right? That was all the evil exterior. But let's get back to Kendrick, right? So, we had a great performance by Samuel L. Jackson. I think he was playing another uncle. I think he was playing his character from Django Unchained. And I do think he was taking jabs at America while dressed as Uncle Sam, and specifically white people generally. And I think we've seen in the wake all this criticism of white people over and over and over again since the performance. But here's my take on the performance. And see, the problem, the racism that you're projecting, is that you think everyone that disliked the performance and was white did it because they were offended by this subliminal message.
No,
and
they
they're
just
racist.
couldn't relate to it.
They couldn't relate to it.
They really couldn't relate to
the
it.
truth, I mean, he writes, he's a great poet, right? Humble, one of the songs he performed. Fantastic song. It's very cerebral rap music. But Kendrick has always felt the need to take shots at other more successful artists to drag himself up popularity-wise.
And that's the part that I don't like.
Well, you didn't
that's the part that concerns me.
You didn't mention him trying to tear down other African-American men. But more importantly, the performance as a fan of rap music, right? Probably more so than you to some degree. The performance was trash, right? It was not inspired. Having people crip walk is not anything new. Didn't use the word pedophile this time directed at Drake. He just used the line of a minor. But the whole thing is, typically
and that's because of the lawsuit.
It's very
that
hard.
Drake has filed.
Well, who knows? It's very easy. I mean, it's very difficult to forward a defamation claim as a public person, right? Whether you're on the low level like us or way up here like Drake. It's very easy because you have to show actual malice, right? But calling someone a pedophile, that's per se actual malice. And what he did is he has tried to tear down, and there's no evidence, of course, that Drake is a pedophile. It's a horrible aspersion. And the world is like being pushed into taking sides.
But let me say this.
And he wasn't even classy enough as a performer to say, hey, I'm at the Super Bowl, let me not focus on, or the Grammys, or wherever he's a great writer, but a trash performer.
Many people
getting awards,
did not
doing
want to
the Super
see
Bowl.
Brother Kendrick perform.
We want to see Weezy.
They want to see
many white people, black people, brown people. We wanted to see New Orleans' greatest lyricists up on that stage.
At the same time, we would have not, and Weezy is a great, great, legendary talent, has carved his mark in history in hip hop.
Well, right, he should have been on the stage. I know, I didn't like
never
Kendrick.
would have got the level of consciousness out of Weezy's performance that they got out of Kendrick Lamar.
And I'm not saying the real world because we're on TV.
I don't like two brothers in Drake and Kendrick Lamar fighting each other publicly the way that they are. And I would hope that those two brothers with the right counsel, and I don't mean legal counsel, with the right mental and psychological, spiritual counseling can sit down in the same room and those two brothers make peace. Because see, I would say to Drake, remember, you smash Meek Mill with your diss song when you hit him with it. And you destroyed him. But at the same time, now the roles have been reversed to where Kendrick's song Against You has been winning Song and Album of the Year. But at the same time, why do brothers in hip-hop believe that you have to destroy a fellow, another black man or woman in hip-hop to elevate your career? That's the KRIV mentality and the KRIV mindset that fosters what is destructive in hip-hop music and never moves black people forward. We got to stop doing this in hip-hop music. Brothers believe that you got to destroy each other to come up.
First of all, the suggestion that arguably the greatest lyricist in the history of rap music, Lil Wayne, couldn't have crafted inspiring messages is
he never
insane.
has done that. That's not his MO.
But hold on. So a moment ago it was Whitey bad, Kendrick perfect. Now I bring up the fact that he's falsely accusing Drake of being a pedophile. And here's my take on it: is Drake's success which, I mean, really, for the last decade, it's really just been Taylor Swift and Drake.
This is true.
And Kanye before the self-destruction, right? Those three artists. Drake's success, I think, has the daggers out of a lot of people. I think the Grammys were very happy to celebrate someone calling Drake names because people are filled with envy and they covet other things. And the problem with Drake is that he's such an incredibly nice guy, it's hard to hate him, right? But you've got Kendrick up there spewing all this hate, and everyone's seal clapping it with nonsense. And then instead of talking about that, what America's talking about is, oh, the white people didn't like it because they don't understand it, and they're racist.
I would hope and pray that
people
black
didn't
people
like it because Kendrick's performance
and I would hope
was
and pray that
trash.
black people focus on the conscious political and social messages that Kendrick's performance delivered that night. Do not focus on the drama and the conflict that's happening between Drake and Kendrick. Let's help those brothers settle their differences and come together to help uplift consciousness for our people in the music industry. So now moving on to this valid point.
You're finally going to make one?
I believe that Lil Wayne or somebody from No Limit Records should have been included in that performance.
Oh, you mean the
No doubt
heart,
about
the
it.
heart of deep South
Yes.
rap music,
The heart
where
of New
you
Orleans.
have a whole
Somebody from
Hall
Cash
of
Money.
Fame,
Somebody from Cash Money. They should have been involved
No
in that.
Limit. I mean, Lil Wayne. Obviously, there's
was
been
the right
some
thing to
friction
do to have
between
them
Lil Wayne and
involved.
Birdman. But really, I think that's why everyone woke up, where a lot of TikTokers woke up and said, "Oh, white people bad. They didn't like Kendrick." The truth is, Kendrick's performance was not a good hip hop performance. When you compare it to Snoop, when you compare it to, honestly, people are talking about like it was Michael Jackson or I think Prince probably, and I think everyone agrees Prince
Ain't nobody gonna touch Prince or Michael Jackson's performance.
Right, but of course
that's not gonna happen again.
White people like that, but that's because we didn't.
Y'all couldn't help. Y'all couldn't help but love Michael.
Okay,
You couldn't help but love Michael and
it
Prince.
should have been Lil Wayne. Should have been Weezy. Kendrick, trash.
To be a fire. You can see some smoke coming out of that as well, and police officers around the scene. There's also some white substance on the ground as well. We are trying to investigate more on this. Yeah, it definitely looks like a fire. You can see a large number of people stepped back from here. And right now I'm trying to see if there are any firefighters trying to put this out and what actually is on fire. All right, now it's turning black. So there is an effort to contain this fire on the scene here. And police officers trying to keep the crowd back as well. Again, this is 12th and Market. Police have started clearing numerous scenes starting around 12:48 tonight. Wow, this smoke is pretty intense right now. Again, this is 12th and Market. I want to bring in Jason and Breland right now. Scott Grayson is sitting to my left with more on the Super Bowl win. Clearly, some.
In this round, here's Charles Big Angry Adams.
Those were scenes from Philadelphia last night. I will say that as a city, I think Philadelphia is a wonderful city. Some of the best restaurants in the country. Shout out to the Israeli restaurant Zahav and Angelo's Pizzeria. And as long as you're not wearing an Astros cap, a largely welcoming community. I did have someone want to fight me in South Philly about a year ago simply for having my ball cap on until I made it clear I was willing to do it. But as sports fans, and as criminals, there is an outsized number of trash people in Philadelphia. And you had stores vandalized, looted. You had people's cars, a number of fellow Philadelphians' cars destroyed by crowds, jumped up on them. You had widespread vandalism, yanking down poles. And this is not mad because they lost. This is happy because they won. And they arrested, I think, 5 people for violent assaults on police officers, and they wrote a bunch of tickets for disorderly conduct. But what you don't see is arrests for all the vandalism, the stealing, the destruction. At least it's not being reported yet. I mean, they wrote some tickets. I'm sure that learned the people a good lesson getting. But we as Americans of all races, right? And I think the people that suffer the worst by this lawlessness are African Americans that live in big cities and that are under-policed and they're law-abiding, rule-following. They're left to suffer. Right? We see these huge crowds, and they were mixed race, right? These huge crowds of people just allowed to destroy parts of a city, and then the news media reports it as a celebration, not a riot and a mob. And we've got to get to the point where America says we're going to stop letting the trash human beings do whatever they want. And I mean trash human beings that are white, black, brown, Asian, I don't care what color. Because you see yourself, you know, if a black person walks in the room, you're saying sister or brother, and that's it, right? And you don't include, whereas me, I see myself as having a homogeneity with nice rule-following, law-abiding people. I don't care what the color of their skin is.
Take your time.
Oh, you went on forever in the last segment.
No, I mean, go ahead.
Okay.
But take your time, because think of your lie real good before you say it. Go ahead.
Oh, okay, I'm lying. Thank you for the interruption. That was
you
great.
You love no Negroes, but go ahead.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Take your time.
There's no one in my life that is African American.
Bless your heart, Thomas Jefferson Jr.
Because I am Thomas Jefferson Jr. That's what it is. But at the end of the day, you had a bunch of trash people destroy a city. We keep seeing this in America over and over again. We see riots and protests of all types, whether it's January 6th or years and years of social justice protests. And maybe as Americans, we should just stop putting up with it. Maybe we should start demanding that the police actually put people in jail and then keep them there when they destroy other people's stuff. It was disgusting, and it really kind of put a pallor on the celebration for the city.
When you looked at the celebration in the streets of Philadelphia after the Eagles Super Bowl victory over the Chiefs, you noticed large numbers of white people involved in the fray. Large numbers of white people destroying and vandalizing and looting right along with everybody else too. But let me finish.
Large is a bit of a stretch, but yes,
they were large.
A bunch of disgusting human beings of all races.
Could you imagine had that been all black people doing that?
Well, it was mostly African American.
Well, there was large numbers of whites out there doing it with them. My concern would the police response had been the same? That's one. Two, with the narrative that is being spent
they didn't do anything
in America today.
When they were burning the city in protest, they just stood there and looked around.
They didn't call them thugs and criminals, and they're looting and they're stealing. They had all the racist monikers that when black people do the same thing that go out from mainstream media, didn't come out this time.
Are you talking about a report 20 years ago?
Also,
because now the media only mentions race.
Let me say this.
No, you interrupted me. The media only mentions race when the bad actor is white. White guy does something bad. If it's not a white guy, it's nowhere in the description.
The city of Philadelphia failed.
Let's tell the truth.
The city of Philadelphia failed last night.
Okay.
Night before.
Oh, you mean it wasn't? It was
2 nights ago.
You just called it a celebration.
But they failed. Let me tell you why they failed.
Okay.
Everybody in sports, whether it's baseball, basketball, or football, know of the legendary behavior of Philadelphia fans.
Right, behavior.
In fact, they have been ranked at the very top of some of the most outrageous, dangerous fans in sports, period. So, and they've won championships before. Well, why did not city officials better prepare for the aftermath of a victory than what they did? The administration failed to prepare properly, knowing the history of the conduct of the fans, and if they won, knowing what they would take to the streets and what they would do. The governor could have easily sent additional officers, maybe even a few National Guardsmen, to help protect infrastructure and businesses from drunk, crazy fans celebrating or upset with a loss or a victory. The city's administration failed. The governor of Pennsylvania failed because they should have seen that this was going to take place. In fact, they went out the day before and was putting grease on the light poles because they wanted people not be able to climb the light poles. Well, if you knew that was going to happen, you could forecast other things would take place of similar behavior because of past victories and past marches, past parades.
Maybe consider before you tell a sermon to the audience doing some research. And in fact, they did call up a great number of officers. They had an amazing turnout, but they didn't do enough.
Of cops?
And they didn't do enough.
That didn't look like it to me.
They didn't do enough because they weren't putting enough people in jail. They weren't tear gassing people. They weren't doing what you have to do to control a crowd because they didn't want to step on anyone's toes. And the people that really suffered.
So you telling me
and the people
they
that really
brought all
suffered,
those cops up to stand around and do nothing?
And the people that really suffered are the law-abiding citizens.
Are you saying that the cops stood there and do nothing?
And businesses and cars that were destroyed
so if they had adequate
by a bunch
policing,
of scumbags.
Are you saying that they stood by and did nothing?
Because they won a damn game. And I mean, this isn't even angry
if
people
because
they
stood by
lost.
and did nothing, city officials failed the city.
But that is.
If you had adequate police response
restorative justice,
in place,
Cornell. That's
and they
what you've
did
been
nothing,
arguing.
the police administrators and the city officials failed the city.
How do you live with that hypocrisy?
What hypocrisy?
This is the non-policing that you've been arguing for in
Let
America
me tell you something,
for
brother.
2 decades.
What they could have easily
This
done.
is nonsense.
No,
Restorative justice. Let's just let victims
you're wrong,
suffer.
Charles. They could have quartered off, and they could have
They could have
put barricades out and stop people from gathering in certain areas of the city to where they can only gather in the area of celebration and it be controlled by law
you
enforcement.
Stop that kind
that
of
was
behavior
poor planning.
Is if you tell society
that was poor planning.
when you destroy someone's car, you're going to go sit in jail
I
for a year.
agree with that.
When
I
you
agree.
vandalize
But that was poor
someone's
planning.
business, you go to jail for a couple of years.
So you don't think that was poor planning by city officials?
I think that they have just continued on this path of far left progressivism, which is to do nothing while criminals commit crimes, except, of course, January 6th.
But you can't do that because
that's what America does now.
What message does that send to the criminal element?
That was the message that
if you're not going to police it, I've never advocated that. I've never advocated that. What I've advocated is equal justice and equal protection under the law. What I've advocated is treat all communities the same way you treat affluent, rich suburban communities.
All those vandals should have been locked up and in jail.
I absolutely agree. You know why? Because if
so
you
it
don't
wasn't
lock
a
them up,
celebration, it was
if
a
you
riot.
don't lock them up, what message are you sending to everybody?
That's what I've been saying for the last 5 years.
No, you've been saying something different.
Okay, no, I've been saying when people commit crimes, let's put them in jail.
What you've been saying is if you got the complexion for the protection, we'll forgive you and we'll understand. You Negroes, y'all act like that there, I'm going to lock all y'all up. That's what you've been saying.
See, much like Kendrick, we were talking about last time, lying on Drake. You're sitting here lying on me because you can't articulate
I wouldn't do that.
You can't articulate a real argument.
Bless your
Just
heart.
like Kendrick can't come up with an honest rap.
Oh, bless your heart. Poor thing. You stop acting like that.
I'm going to survive.
That's it for the Face Off on Fox Soul. We'll catch you next time.